What's up, good people? Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. Man, you can say a lot of things about me, but one thing you can't say is I don't work hard, because I bust my ass. I started this yesterday. Ripped out an old shower. I got this bad boy framed up. Got the mud pan in. Just put down the tile. And now I'm mudding and taping the walls and putting up corner bead. We getting this mother humper done. 3 days is what we doing. So I multitask. And I've been looking, of course, at others' great work that's out there. Because we got a lot of people that talk about the Dallas Cowboys. Let's face it, we's America's team. We all that and a ham sandwich. And people love to talk about this. So, let's go ahead and talk about it. So, there's a lot of speculation out there about DeMarcus Ware as well as Amari Cooper being on the cut list for the Cowboys. And to save some money because we broke asses, right? There's also talk that Cowboys may decide that Randy Gregory is not worthwhile to bring back. Here's the problem with Randy Gregory is he's in a position, unless he says, you know what, Cowboys, I really just want to come back to you because I just love it here in Dallas. You guys gave me the first opportunity. You stood by me through passing the Dutchie from the left-hand side, maybe even from the right as well. And I appreciate that. And so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to work for you dirt cheap. That could always be the hope. But I don't know that that's actually reality. Because the reality is, as a free agent, I guarantee you, he can get anywhere from $12 to $15 million. So, I know Bosch loves Randy Gregory, his grown-ass man. But $15 million for a team that does not have money, that's a problem. And so, the question is, are the Cowboys better off re-signing Randy Gregory for a multi-year deal that's going to cost them about $15 million a year? Now, keep in mind, when you hear $15 million a year, that doesn't per se mean that you're paying actually $15 million each of those years. You have ways and triggers and things like that between the signing bonus and things like that that will reduce that cost. So instead of saying, oh man, it's going to be $15 million this year, there's voidable years and different tricks that they play on there. So you could actually sign into a long-term deal, and the first year might only cost $4 or $5 million, which is not a bad way to look at it. You say, okay, I can get Randy Gregory in the contract for this year, and it's only going to be a $5 million cap hit. Then you say, yeah, that's worthwhile. Now the problem, of course, is we've done these deals many, many, many times, and they come back to bite us in the ass because down the road, they turn out to not be worth the money in that big contract. And we, part of this is our fault too, end up using their contracts like a piggy bank. So part of the reason why Zeke Elliott's number is as high as it is not because of the original language of the deal. What it is the Cowboys have restructured here and there and all that to go ahead and get cap relief. And then they look at it and say, oh, we paid them too much. Well, I hate to say it, but that's kind of like Congress that says, oh, Social Security, it's broke. We need to get rid of it. It's not, it doesn't have the money. Well, that's because you ended up using that money for other stuff. You know that, right? They robbed the Social Security money and used it for other pet projects. And now that the money's gone, they say, oh, we have to do away with that because it's broke. It's not broke because of it doing what it was supposed to do. It's broke because you took the money and used it elsewhere. And that's what the Cowboys have been doing for years. It wasn't that Tyrone Crawford was originally assigned to get $10 million a year. No, they didn't design to go, or 9.5. No, they didn't pay him that much to begin with. But because they kept restructuring his contract, it ended up being that we had to pay more and more down the road. And then you start looking at it and saying, oh, shit, how are we paying this guy that much money? Same thing with Tyron Smith. Tyron Smith, shit, he may be the most restructured guy in the NFL. It's almost like an annual thing. Oh, we need money. Let's go to Tyron Smith. And that's why his cap number is as high as it is. Now, keep in mind, restructuring doesn't actually add money to the contract. It doesn't save you money. What it does is it just restructures how the money is paid off over those years. So you get cap relief for said year that will go later on. But see, it's like going through and saying, I'm going to give me a payday loan and I'll pay it back when I get paid. Problem is, when you pay it back, it's not the money that you borrowed. It's all that extra interest that they put on top of it that makes you the broke ass. You hear what I'm saying? So, here's the real question. We have Von Miller out there. Von Miller is not the guy that he used to be. Von Miller, between Denver, injuries, and getting a Super Bowl ring with the Rams, ended up with 31 tackles and 5 sacks. Randy Gregory, between injuries and such, ended up with 6 sacks and 6 sacks and 19 tackles. So we're not really talking about a whole lot of difference at the moment from Von Miller to Randy Gregory. Now keep in mind, of course, Von Miller's a year older. Von Miller's contract last year was $9.7 million. 5.6, I think, is what the Rams paid him for his contract. Or on the contract. The rest of it was paid actually by Denver. So that was a good deal for the Rams, with the exception of having to give up a draft pick and letting him walk. So now you have to start thinking, okay, maybe we can get Von Miller, who's at the tail end of his career, for about $6 million. If you can get him for about $6 million, you might actually have the DeMarcus Ware effect. Because see, this would be completely reversal. You think about DeMarcus Ware, Cowboys let him go. He goes to Denver, plays his role for the Cowboys. For Denver. Oh my God, my knees are killing. Plays a role for Denver as a designated pass rusher and also as a coach, so to speak, on the field. He ends up being a mentor and teaching guys like Von Miller how to be a pro, and looks at it as, here's my chance to get another ring. I think having somebody like Von Miller, who's had the skill set that he does for as many years as he has, having him in there with a Micah Parsons may be a great thing. I don't know that Randy Gregory is going to be able to teach Micah Parsons and be the leader of the mentor that you need. But now in this new age of the NFL where we're learning that maybe it's not all about the guys that you draft, but also about the veterans that you can mix in there, that splash might be a great one. Now, you know that this is not a long-term proposition here. You're only looking at this for a year or two. But as opposed to saying we got to get another big contract salary, like a DeMarcus Lawrence, 5 years, $90 million, or another big salary that we're going to look back and say we got to release this guy because they're too expensive. Von Miller makes a whole lot more sense in the short go to go ahead and get a guy like that and not pay Randy Gregory. Some people may not like hearing me say that. We fall in love with players, but you got to understand, we're trying to run a business here. And that's what the Cowboys have to start doing. We got too many big salaries out there, too many Chiefs, and not enough Indians. I get this mudding up on here, I can take me a break and find out what's going on in the world. I'll catch you soon. Peace.